Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. The Caribbean Export Development Agency is delighted to be partnering with the EU delegation in Guyana, the Guyana Office for Investment GoInvest, and the Caribbean Association of Investment Promotion Agencies for the hosting of this first virtual Guyana Investment Forum. We at the Caribbean Export Development Agency, as the lead regional institution for private sector development in the CARIFORUM Caribbean region, recognize the importance of this event, both for the development of Guyana and indeed for the wider Caribbean, as the entity responsible for helping business and by implication the region export more and steer foreign direct investment our way. Your Caribbean Export Development Agency is committed to supporting the efforts of Guyana through direct support to your entrepreneurs and working closely with institutional partners such as GoInvest. I must confess and also declare my own interest in Guyana. I have had a close and intimate connection with Guyana, the land of many waters, since my time living in this splendid country in the heady days of the early 90s. And I've retained that close connection to this day. I sense the return of this spirit of optimism and possibility once more. Looking at the program, I'm pleased to see the emphasis on sectors other than petroleum. It is good to see Guyana reflecting on the lessons of other countries. In the time of plenty and in the euphoria that accompanies newfound mineral wealth, in other countries, the experience has been a sense that it will last forever. It does not and will not. Indeed, I would like to quote one of the defining figures in Guyana's history, and I quote, "We must all remember the lessons of the past as a guide to the management of the present and the planning for the future," unquote. This is one of the defining figures in Guyana's history and former president of Guyana, Dr. Cherry Jagan. So the time to focus on diversification and invest in the sectors for your new and next economy is in the time of plenty. It's now. Therefore, I'm pleased to see the emphasis on agriculture, given the immense potential of Guyana, not only as a food basket for the Caribbean, but further afield, leveraging technology and focusing on climate resilient agriculture. For today's program, the emphasis on tourism is also well placed. Today's session understandably will provide data on opportunities. However, in terms of the tourism sector, there are few places on this planet that can match the warmth and hospitality of the Guyanese people. So an emphasis on tourism, but particularly in niche areas such as ecotourism, where Guyana will be a world leader, leveraging places such as the incredible Iwokrama rainforest. I mean, is a step in the right direction. So from Mabaruma to Matthews Ridge and from the majestic Kaitio Falls to Karasabai, opportunities are boundless. We at the Caribbean Export Development Agency are committed to partnering with you to help profile Guyana to Europe and the wider world while stimulating greater intra-regional trade. In terms of investment promotion, we will work closely with GoInvest and businesses here in Guyana. We are also committed to helping in the packaging of investment projects, both at the national and regional levels, through our strong partnership with the Caribbean Association of Investment Promotion Agencies. At Caribbean Export, we also recognize the imperative of helping businesses enter the new economy, taking advantage of opportunities in the green sector and those created by digitalization. Going forward, we are keen to supporting Guyana in these areas. Your Excellency President Mohamed Irfan Ali, like you, we understand the importance of delivering concrete and practical results where it matters on the ground, at the level of the firm, and in the lives of people. This is the core of our work, to help create jobs, inclusive growth, and prosperity for Guyanese people and those of our CARIFORUM Caribbean. It would be remiss of me if I do not state how pleased we are with the turnout at today's event. As of yesterday, we had a total of 457 delegates registered for this event from 47 countries, indicating a keen interest in hearing about investing in Guyana. In thanking you for listening to my remarks, we are the Caribbean Export Development Agency. We are committed to supporting Guyana and the wider Caribbean going forward. Now I have the honor to introduce our first speaker, who will bring remarks on behalf of the delegation of the European Union to Guyana, His Excellency Dr. Fernando Pons Canto, Ambassador of the European Union to the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, presented his credentials to the government of Guyana on September 18, 2019. His Excellency often speaks of the need to address the challenge of making the most of natural resources in Guyana while preserving the environment and fostering sustainable and inclusive development. Professionally, he has worked as Deputy Head of Division to the EU-West Africa Relations and Deputy Head of Division for EU-Mexico in the European External Action Service in Brussels. Prior to assuming this post, he served with the EU in the area of Central America and Caribbean relations. Ambassador, welcome. The floor is now yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Maharaj, and all protocols have been observed. I would like to start by thanking Caribbean Export for the very efficient organization of this important event. Welcome, everybody. We are more than 450 today, almost 500 actually, and this is good proof of the potential and the importance that business are attaching to the opportunities in Guyana. Special thanks to His Excellency Mohamed Irfan Ali, President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, for honoring us with his presence today. Dear friends, in 1.5 years that I have been living in Guyana, and in many years of dealing with Guyana from the distance, I have been able to realize the immense potential of this country. The challenges, yes, but the potential. Guyana is the fastest growing economy in the hemisphere. It's one of the fastest growing economies in the world, and it is only the beginning. There is plenty of opportunities for business, for investment, for trade, and I want to underline something that Dr. Maharaj has just said. It goes beyond oil. It covers also tourism, extractive industries, agroforests, infrastructure, everything. There is plenty of opportunities beyond oil. And Guyana welcomes Europe. I have been able to see that myself during the last year, which was complicated, but which in the end demonstrated the resilience of the institutions and the people of Guyana. And I'm very happy to say that now we are in a better position than ever to have more Guyana in Europe and more Europe in Guyana. Guyana is a country that also has a vibrant, small but vibrant private sector. And the role that the Private Sector Commission, the Georgetown Chamber of Industry and Commerce, and other private sector institutions have played and are playing is fundamental. They are small, yes, but they are the embryo of something which can be much, much bigger. We want also to underline, and I want to underline, as I do many times when we speak about this subject, that we are not in a zero-sum game. It is a win-win. That means that there is a space for everybody. The country is growing, so everybody can find some opportunities for himself here. And I want to underline also something that the previous speaker just said very rightly. This is the first such seminar, but it will not be the last. This is the beginning of a process. We would like to see, as part of this process, more encounters like this. Perhaps we don't even need to be there. The private sector itself will organize itself. We may have a European Chamber of Commerce in Guyana. I hope so. It depends also on the results of today's business dialogue, which is going to be a very important one. More Europe in Guyana, more Guyana in Europe. This is what we want to do. And this is part of our mission. We want more prosperity for the Europeans, and we want more prosperity for the Guyanese as a friend and as a partner of the country. The relations between Europe and Guyana, I am very happy to say, are stronger than ever. And I'm extremely hopeful that in the next few years, we are going to see fundamental challenges for the benefit of people, for the benefit of the country. I want to thank everybody for being here today again. I want to pass some very special thanks to my team, who have worked very hard on this and who have made it possible, and to everybody who has supported the realization of today's event, which I'm sure is going to be extremely important in this process of increasing business and investment links between Europe and Guyana. And now, without any further preliminaries, it is my pleasure and my privilege to pass the floor to His Excellency Mohammed Irfan Ali, President.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Fernando. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I welcome this important Guyana-European Union Investment Conference, and I'm deeply honored that I was asked to address this event. Welcome to this virtual experience of Guyana. I assure you, the reality is much better, but for now, we're excited by the continued and growing interests being demonstrated in Guyana. Thank you for your participation. I would like to express my appreciation for all the hard work which has gone into the organization of this event. I'm particularly grateful to the delegation of the European Union in Guyana, the Caribbean Export Development Agency, the Caribbean Association of Investment Promotion Agencies, and the Guyana Office for Investment for combining their efforts to make this virtual event a reality. The timing of this conference could not have been more favorable. Both the European Union and the Cooperative Republic of Guyana are undergoing change. Guyana is pursuing a transformative agenda, which will require significant investment. The European Union, in turn, is charting its post-pandemic reopening and recovery, and this will drive the bloc to explore new trade and economic opportunities for enhancing its global reach and influence. More importantly, this conference is taking place against the prospects of a renewed long-term partnership between Europe and the African, Caribbean, and Pacific Group. The conference provides the opportunity to reposition Guyana-EU relations. Guyana-EU relations have historically been anchored by trade and economic cooperation and shared values. The Rome Conventions, signed between Europe and the ACP, emphasize trade, industrial, and technical cooperation. They took account of the differences in economic development between Europe and the ACP and incorporated the principles of non-reciprocity. The early conventions catered for export market stability and compensation for declines in export earnings. Successive Rome Conventions continue to emphasize trade and economic cooperation while underscoring the importance of good governance, gender equality, protection of the environment, and respect for human rights and democracy. The European Union has been a bastion for promoting prospect for human rights and democracy. This month, Guyana is observing 1 year since the eventful elections of March the 2nd, 2020. Allow me in this regard to express yet again the appreciation for the principled role played by the European Union, and particularly the head of the EU delegation in Guyana, in insisting on respect for the democratic will of the people. Guyana's relation with the European Union and its member states are based upon respect for human rights and democratic norms. Democracy remains indispensable to ensuring a favorable environment for attracting investment, stimulating trade, and fostering economic development. Guyana is grateful for the EU's support over the years for private sector development in Guyana and for its role in supporting climate adaptation and mitigation. Through the European Union Development Fund and its support for Guyana National Indicative Program, the EU has made a significant contribution to the country's effort to reduce poverty and build greater climate resilience. The EU's support has laid the groundwork for upscaling European investment in Guyana. It is now timely for Guyana and the EU to reposition its relations within the context of the Coast-Cotonou Agreement. Trade and economic development have been central pivots of Guyana-EU relations. This relation continues to evolve. The European Union and the ACP are about to embark on a renewed partnership for the next 20 years. Guyana looks forward to an agreement which will continue to place emphasis on the traditional pivots, trade, development, cooperation, and shared values, but which must, of necessity, also prioritize investment, including foreign direct investment flows. Indeed, the CARIFORUM Economic Partnership Agreement of 2008 had listed as one of its key objectives the implementation of an effective, predictable, and transparent framework for trade and investment. The parties to the agreement further agreed to the promotion of private investment and public-private partnerships in potentially viable production. This conference must add impetus to this intent by becoming a pace setter in encouraging greater investment flows from the European Union to Guyana. In doing so, it will serve to reposition Guyana's long-standing ties with the EU. Guyana is unfurling a national transformative agenda. The next 10 years will witness unprecedented levels of growth and development. The country's gross domestic product will more than double. The traditional sectors will be retooled, recapitalized, and reorganized. Mega infrastructure, agricultural, digital, energy, tourism, and transport will radically transform the country's connectivity. In my address in January to the country's National Assembly, I outlined some of the major infrastructure projects which will commence, and these include a deepwater harbor, shore-based facilities, internationally branded hotels, mega farms for large-scale agriculture, farm-to-market access roads, the Linden to Latham Road, Brazil Link, a 4-lane highway from Georgetown to Temeri, the Purika to Rockstone Road Link, all-terrain road links from Temeri to Bartica, upgrading of regional airports, building of new ferries, and a 4-lane link between Mandela and Diamond with interconnection to the existing East Bank public roads, a new bridge across the Demra River, and a new superhighway from Schooner to Purika. All of these investment in infrastructure will open up new lands, new opportunities, and indeed grow the traditional sector and create opportunities for new sectors to emerge. This, of course, will also support our massive housing program that we have embarked upon. Guyana will also become part of an energy corridor within the Guyana Shield, linking Guyana, Suriname, and French Guyana, and will invest in a mix of renewable energy sources. A gas-to-shore plant will be constructed and will guarantee for the first time the country's energy security. Manufacturing will be boosted by the development of energy. The availability of reliable and cheaper energy will unlock industrialization, and manufacturing will be upscaled, and will be facilitated through the establishment of industrial parks. Information communication technology services will expand across the country's 10 administrative regions. Bandwidth will be improved, and more services will be offered online. The country's transformative agenda encompasses all sectors of our economy and will require significant levels of investment, including foreign direct investment and public-private partnership. The opportunities will be boundless, while oil and gas will spawn innumerable business opportunities. Investment openings will also abound in all of the country's sectors of growth. This conference allows for our investors to gain insights into the economic opportunities which will become available. Investors doing business with Guyana can be assured of an ever-improving enabling environment for business. They can be sure of a growing economy which will support business expansion. They can anticipate a macroeconomic framework that guarantees stability and protects their assets. They can expect fiscal incentives to attract their investments and ensure greater competitiveness. They can look forward to improvements in ease of doing business and respect for property rights and the rule of law. Guyana offers a number of advantages for European firms. For the past 45 years, it has been engaged in an economic partnership with Europe and is therefore not an unknown destination to European investors. Guyana is strategically located and offers access to key markets, including the Caribbean. Guyana welcomes investors from Europe. We look forward particularly to European foreign direct investment in Guyana and for Euro-based firms to partner with local companies in seizing the unfolding economic opportunities. As I have done before, I urge you to come and see for yourselves the investment opportunities which exist for building and boosting your firm's brand and to have the satisfaction of contributing to economic transformation of my country. Guyana is on an upward trajectory. We'll soar to great heights. This is a time for great change in Guyana. It is also an opportune moment for us to reset our relations with Europe. Investment must be a key element of that process, and you are the trigger to ensuring it happens. As I close, I wish at this time to introduce to you our Minister of Finance, Dr. Ashni Kumar Singh. Dr. Singh has a wealth of international experience and also great experience in various stages of Guyana's economic transformation. I therefore leave with you this great resource we have in Dr. Ashni Singh, our Minister of Finance, so that he can be the bridge between what you seek to do and what we want to accomplish here in Guyana. Dr. Ashni Singh, the Minister of Finance, and Go Invest will work together in ensuring that all your interests can be managed, your questions can be answered, and that we can satisfy your investment needs. I wish this conference well. Thank you very much.
Excellency, President Mohammed Irfan Ali, thank you so very much for your inspiring message and visionary perspective on the future of Guyana. And I'm sure business people, in Europe and across the globe who have listened to your message will also be both impressed and interested in coming to Guyana. Excellency, thank you so very much. And thank you, Ambassador, for this strong partnership and for facilitating and putting this event together. I would like to also use the opportunity to thank my staff and all the colleagues who worked so hard in making this event possible. I think we are transitioning now to the next session, which is the first panel on the business climate in Guyana. But before doing that, I would also like to recognize Dr. Ashni Singh, with whom I had worked with many years ago during my time in Guyana. Good to see you, Dr. Singh, and I know in your hands and with your support, great things will also happen as you support His Excellency, the President of Guyana. In 2019, the Nasdaq Stock Exchange coined Guyana as the fastest growing economy in the world. While the world economy contracted in 2020 by 3.5% according to the IMF, the economy in Guyana experienced growth of 26.2%, followed by Bangladesh and India, recording just 3 and 4% growth. As His Excellency indicated, Guyana is being even more ambitious and is projecting a doubling of GDP. The outlook for Guyana is quite bright, I think, notwithstanding the pandemic. And to talk a bit more about what's happening and what is likely to happen and the key issues, We have a wonderful panel, Dr. GOBIND GANGA, Governor of the Central Bank, a colleague with whom I've worked with also for many years. In June 2005, Dr. GANGA was appointed Deputy Governor of the Bank of Guyana. He became governor in 2014. He has a tremendous wealth of central banking experience and has written and published extensively. He has made presentations, at every possible foray in his field. And prior to assuming his role as a central bank governor, Dr. Ganga served at the World Bank as chairman of the Committee of CARICOM Central Bank Governors and the Caribbean Regional Technical Assistance Center here in Barbados. We also have with us Dr. Peter Ramsaroop, CEO of the Guyana Office for Investment. Dr. Ramsaroop is a seasoned senior executive with significant experience, both national and international, across many fields of expertise. He was appointed in October 2020 as the Chief Executive Officer of the Guyana Office for Investment. In this role, Dr. Ramsaroop is leading efforts in both FDI and local content investments and serves as Guyana's Chief Investment Officer under the Office of the President of Guyana. We are also fortunate to have Mr. SHYAM NOKTA, immediate past President of the Guyana Manufacturing and Services Association. Mr. NOKTA has been integrally involved in the leadership of Guyana's private sector and is currently the immediate past President of the Guyana Manufacturing and Services Association. Under his stewardship of the GMSA, he was able to establish a strategic public-private partnership with government to advance key subsectors, including agriculture and agro-processing, and forestry and wood processing. He has been integral to the process of establishing public-private partnerships in Guyana. So in terms of this session, we would hear from these three distinguished speakers. They would all speak for about 7 minutes, not more than 7 minutes. I will have a bit of an interaction with them, and we should be finished with this segment by 10 a.m. So without any further ado, Dr. Ganga, over to you, sir. I think we may have lost Dr. Ganga for the moment, but I think what we can do, we can immediately...
Sorry about that, deodat.
Okay, please, Gobind, go ahead.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, all protocols are observed. I welcome this opportunity to speak at this forum addressing the topic of business climate of Guyana. At the very beginning, let me say that the Central Bank Act positions this apex financial institution as highly independent, and therefore political interference is very difficult with respect to monetary and exchange rate policies. The central bank is a vital partner in the economic development of Guyana. More specifically, through its core objectives and conduct, it helped to ensure that the business climate in Guyana is conducive to investment and growth. All of you would have observed by now that over the years, Guyana macroeconomic fundamentals have remained very strong. Guyana has a diverse economy, and this diversification and the diversification of a number of sectors has ensured that Guyana remains on a growth trajectory. The discovery of oil has catalyzed and make this trajectory even stronger for all sectors of the economy, as outlined by His Excellency President Irfan Ali just moments ago. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the key objectives of the Bank of Guyana is to promote price stability, and all of you know in layman terms, is to ensure that the value of money is being kept. Over the years, and in particular over the last decade, average inflation in Guyana has remained at very, very low single digit. Last year it was just about 1%, and we're expecting this year to be about 2%. Now, as all of us know, the Bank of Guyana was able to maintain low level of exchange rate by facilitating a very accommodative monetary policy. The second objective would have been to promote promoting favorable business climate would have been a very stable exchange rate. Over the last 10 years, we would have also seen a marginal depreciation of the currency, which was about 2.4%, keeping with the competitiveness that the economy need to facilitate in terms of investment and the kind of confidence that people would have in our currency. I should also tell you that we have a very liberalized capital account. Profits can be repatriated at any time, because our capital market remains, as I said, liberalized, the capital account remains liberalized, and our foreign exchange market is very, very free from any interference, except for when we need to facilitate foreign exchange that may have seasonal constraints. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the other objectives would have been financial stability and preventing institutions from failing, while at the same time providing the necessary guidelines for banks to engage in profitable financial intermediation. We have witnessed in Guyana all institutions, all financial institutions, to be very sound and profitable. We are the envy, almost everyone wants to come in here for a banking license. We would encourage, although this is for other aspects of investment, we would encourage those in the banking sector to come and venture in Guyana. Institutions are very, very, very profitable here, and therefore we should be able to capture at least one or two banks from Europe. Let me also indicate to you that we have been experiencing diverse private sector credit growth, stable interest rate, and deposit growth. This has helped to facilitate the kind of development we have been seeing in Guyana, and for the next few years, obviously, financial intermediation will be able to pick up, I would imagine, exponentially. Ladies and gentlemen, a fourth area that the bank has concentrated on and to provide for a very enabling environment would have been payment system infrastructure. The bank has been promoting a safe and efficient payment and settlement system over the years. We have moved in a very big way to facilitate electronic payments and settlement. And more recent, we have been able to put in place RTGS, that is real-time gross settlement, and this will be launched very soon. We also have CSD, that is Central Security Deposit System, which will be integrated with the real-time gross settlement system. Ladies and gentlemen, I will be the first to admit that there is still lots of work to do from the perspective of improving infrastructure, strengthening institutions, deepening the financial sector, embracing technology more comprehensively, reducing power costs and efficiencies in our system. These issues are continually being addressed. I am excited about Guyana's future. The economy is strong. Government has recognized the importance of accommodative policies that are favorable to the business sector. The government continues to engage the private sector in consultation to ensure that policies are meeting objectives, and the private sector is also playing its part in the transformation of Guyana. I can assure you that the central bank activities are geared towards building trust and ensuring that there is a stable economy, a friendly climate, which will provide growth and prosperity in all sectors for our people's growth and development. Thank you very much, deodat, and I'm open for questions.
Yeah, thank you so much, Gobind. I think what we will do, we will transition to Dr. Ramsaroop, the CEO of GoInvest, and then we'll hear from SHYAM NOKTA, and thereafter we'll probably have a dialogue subject to the availability of time. So Dr. Ramsaroop, over to you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it to be invited. Thanks to all so far and all protocols observed. Our president has outlined a significant aggressive economic agenda for our country. As you listen to him in infrastructure, agriculture, and tourism, the foundation has been built for us to modernize our known industries and to renew the dream of Guyanese as he creates a culture of excellence across all sectors. So as we discuss the future of Guyana, I always like to mention that the future has arrived. We are here today among all of the participants to make firm those arrangements of its arrival and the participation with companies, both local and foreign, to work with us to develop the president's aggressive economic agenda. You know, over the years, the export market in terms of exports to Europe, rice products is over $20 million. Aluminum and ores over $145 million US, and bauxite, gold, rum, aquaculture, exotic woods are all exports that we have worked with the Europeans over the last few years. So as you listen to our president and as he has outlined the foundation of a nation's growth being the culture of excellence in education and the infrastructure in modernizing our known industries. He talked about the Deepwater Harbor. As you look at the Deepwater Harbor connection to the corridor of Brazil, one of the world's largest economies, into Suriname, the basin of connection is very important as you look at trade agreements in our country and what is your interest in participating in some of the opportunities that come into these sectors. In agriculture, there's significant opportunities in sugar, rice, cattle, abundant agricultural lands. You know, we're the size of Great Britain, 83,000 square miles. We have, you know, English-speaking country. The opportunities for investment is significant in areas of agro-processing, in dairy plant, in aquaculture. The president also outlined investment opportunities in our ICT area or technology area. You know, we have recently liberalized our telecommunication industry. We see the expansion of back office processing, call centers, many other software development companies coming into Guyana. Our workforce is fairly educated. The president also talked about our energy solutions. We are working towards being a net exporter of energy. That, you know, following also the low carbon development strategy. Our investment climate, you know, and Guyana welcomes Europe. You know, Dr. GANGA talks about our unlimited carryover of losses in previous years, our depreciation, accelerated depreciation on plant and equipment, full and unrestricted repatriation of profits, the double taxation treaties with the UK, Canada, CARICOM, and other countries. So we are, as the president has said many times in the last few months, we are the most exciting investment destination. We are on the move. You know, as you look at our investment climate, the president has outlined the 2021 budget that puts significant dollars in investment in agriculture and access to roads, as he talked about, 2,000 miles of road. I know one of the components of this conference is the hospitality industry. The government has outlined that we need close to 2,000 rooms of hotel rooms over the next 5 years. We did put out an expression of interest through our Ministry of Tourism and an honorable minister, and we received interest in over 5,000 rooms. Well, we know all of that wouldn't happen, but we are seeing a significant interest in the hospitality sector. You know, we were voted the #1 destination for ecotourism in 2020. With COVID-19, we see that being expanded, a much more open space or eco-lodge or protected forest. It's a great area and interest when you study the entire plan for Guyana. The president has outlined the foundation of infrastructure, of education, of technology. He has outlined the investment in the connection between our neighboring countries to facilitate trade. The road to Letem to Brazil will be paved over the next few years. The gas to shore is where the energy costs will come down over 60%. And you know, the famous hockey player Wayne Gretzky in Canada says, you don't skate to where the puck is, you skate to where the puck is going to be. So as you study the investment climate, you study the investment opportunities of our country, you've got to see where the puck is going to be. The puck is we're going to have cheaper energy. We're investing significantly in infrastructure. We're ensuring our population is educated, creating that culture of excellence, an innovative environment. Our president has a vision, a measurable and a result-oriented plan as you study as it happens. Even over the last few months since government has taken into office, you've seen significant improvement. The foundation of all of this, which thanks to the European Union and many other countries around the world, democracy is very important to us. So any investment climate requires a solid foundation in democracy. We believe in free market economics. We're studying how to work with investors doing joint partnerships. Government, as our office is here to facilitate investment opportunities, we are an investor with you. We will work to make sure that your plan, if you're coming in to set up a manufacturing hub, for example, we've got some of the best sand in the world, that silica sand that can turn into glass. We've got other natural resources that we're looking to develop as we bring energy costs down. So it's an integrated plan. When put together, you can see the President's Foundation, you can see his pillars, and you can see the vision, what we expect to achieve when all of these components are put together. Your involvement, your contribution, we welcome foreign direct investments. We are pushing significantly our local content initiatives. We are hoping that as you come in, you look for partnership to help build capacity, to help work with our local companies. They are ready to work with you. So all of that brings us together, that this forum, and as you study Guyana in the next 5 years, you have to be here. It is moving so rapidly. It is moving aggressively. We've got a bold leadership in our president, as you listened to him earlier. He is directing how we integrate all of these plans. We ask you to come in early, set up your company, work with the local companies, look at our tax laws, look at incentives that our office will offer you in areas of agriculture and technology, in tourism. These are significant incentives for us to facilitate your involvement in the operations and the future growth of Guyana private sector. And ultimately, our president's vision is the creation of wealth for our people, creation of jobs for our people, working alongside of you, and put together a Guyana that welcomes you, welcomes Europe, welcomes the world. And we are willing to work together from our office to make your contributions to our nation a better place to be and a better area to work with. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so very much, Dr. Ramsaroop. And now we will transition to hear Mr. SHYAM NOKTA. SHYAM, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Maharaj. All protocols observed. Greetings, everyone. I'm pleased to be joining this very important conference today and to talk a little bit about the Guyana private sector. The organization I represent, the Guyana Manufacturing and Services Association, is one of the oldest and largest business support organizations in Guyana. In fact, it's been around since the 1960s. And I say this to reflect on the history of private sector in Guyana and the organization of businesses, which goes back over 100 years. Today, the private sector in Guyana is organized through a council comprising 23 plus business support organizations representing businesses geographically as well as sectorally, and essentially bringing together businesses from across the country. Our membership includes large companies as well as small and micro enterprises covering both oil and non-oil sectors. Currently in Guyana, there is over 11,000 companies that are registered. There are over 25,000 plus businesses, and these numbers are growing rapidly. And this trend is expected to increase as Guyana welcomes investments. In terms of the general approach by the private sector, as previous speakers have mentioned, it is one of working in partnership with government. And this relationship has not been stronger. As part of public-private partnership, we work at the strategic level, at policy, as well as the operational levels with government. In fact, only recently, the private sector worked very closely with government to help shape Budget 2021, the largest in Guyana's history, and which is aimed at diversifying the economy, resuscitating the major productive sectors, and promoting investments at all levels. Like the speakers before me, I would like to emphasize that Guyana is open for business in the oil as well as the non-oil sectors. The local private sector is looking to expand, to diversify, and to welcome investors to Guyana. We would like to establish relations, to develop partnerships, joint ventures, to bring together foreign expertise, experience, capital, and along with local knowledge, capacity, and expertise to really grasp the many opportunities that we have heard about from the previous speakers. We have a history of working with Europe in many sectors, in agriculture, in forestry, and we are certainly looking to strengthen relations with trading partners and to explore wider opportunities. So I want to conclude with a few key points. Why come to Guyana to do business? Firstly, stability, and His Excellency made reference to this. Guyana is stable politically. We have a democratically elected government in place. Our economic forecast is beyond favorable. Guyana is one of the fastest growing economies. It is a new frontier for development. As you would have heard from His Excellency, there is a clear vision for development. It's centered on a resilient, diversified economy. There is a push for oil and non-oil sectors, even as Guyana pursues a low-carbon development path, with a focus on protecting forests, biodiversity, securing payments for ecosystem services. And I should mention that we have built a world-class model with Norway in this regard, embracing green sectors such as ICT, ecotourism, and maximizing opportunities from renewable energy, even as we progress efforts to look at enhancing climate resilience. Government has embraced the private sector as the engine of growth, both the local and foreign private sector, who are being encouraged to invest and to grow. There is a favorable investment climate. Guyana is aligned with international safeguards, fiduciary, social, and environmental. There's a strong presence of multilateral organizations here, and Guyana is aligned with the EU FLECT, EITI, among many other arrangements that cater for these safeguards. And there is an enabling environment for business development that is continually being addressed. As you would have heard, there are investments in social sector, in infrastructure, in energy. There are efforts to enhance, streamline, modernize systems, trade arrangements, access to finance, etc. These would have been challenges to doing business, but they are now areas of opportunity because the environment has been created where we can have private investments to support many of the interventions that are needed. And as previously mentioned, while all of this is happening, Guyana is also putting in place a local content framework that is fit for purpose so as to ensure that Guyanese can benefit in a meaningful way from these many opportunities. So in closing, I would like to say that we are in a defining period in our country. For the first time, we can now have access to resources at scale to realize the potential of Guyana. The local private sector, we welcome investors to join and to be part of these exciting opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Mr. NOKTA, for being both clear and concise in terms of the work that you all do and linking and connecting to the vision of His Excellency, the President. I think in terms of the panel, I mean, this panel has been so very well disciplined. Gobind, I just wanted to come back to you on two issues. One, you spoke about the well-managed levels of inflation and low levels of inflation. His Excellency, the President, spoke about doubling of GDP, which is likely to happen. What is your thinking in terms of how you will deal with inflation in such a situation? And the second point for those who are in this investment conference, I mean, people would be keen to know about foreign exchange restrictions or controls, if any at all. Would you be kind enough to elaborate, I mean, in a concise manner on those two issues, Gobind?
Oh, thanks a lot, deodat. As you know, the kind of monetary policies that we have been following for the last 1.5 decades has been one which was very accommodative. We know what are the triggers with respect to inflation, which would have been exchange rate, it would have been supply side cost increase such as oil prices, and even other domestically produced goods. From our end, we have been very, very careful in terms of the accommodative monetary policy, whereby there is enough liquidity out in the system to promote credit growth for investment and for economic development. So we were very, very careful. On the other hand, as you know, we are fully liberalized with respect to financial services in this country. Foreign exchange are traded in cambios, both bank and non-bank cambios. That allows for the exchange rate stability. Whenever there is seasonal shortage or surpluses, the bank would only then intervene. So we have situations where you have the kind of confidence in our currency from the exchange rate perspective. On the other hand, you also have credit growth by the commercial banks to facilitate the kind of investment. But at the same time, it doesn't create the kind of, as we said, as we usually say, the kind of activities that will trigger excess demand. We have been very careful to balance all of these from the financial policy perspective to ensure inflation remain low. Remember, all that we are doing doesn't touch any person per se. It is like this laissez-faire thing out there, where everything, without much in terms of interference, is able to achieve its equilibrium from the perspective of inflation, from the perspective of foreign exchange stability. We don't have constraint on the capital account like any other place in the Caribbean. You have sufficient foreign exchange because of what is available at the central bank and what is available in the private commercial banks. So there is always enough for the repatriation of profit. The confidence and trust in the financial system is there. That I hope that will be beneficial for prospective investors.
Yeah, no, I think that is very clear, Gobind, and people want to be assured that they can repatriate profits, and I think you've been very explicit about that. I just want to transition now to Dr. Ramsaroop. Dr. Ramsaroop, you gave such a powerful and informative presentation. I mean, if I'm an investor in Europe wanting to come to Guyana, of course, I'm inspired after listening to His Excellency, to Gobind, to yourself, and SHYAM NOKTA. But I mean, I must ask you the question. I mean, what measures are you putting in place or have already put in place to ensure that if an investor from Holland or Norway or France or Italy or any European country, or for that matter, any investor wants to come to Guyana, I mean, what measures have you put in place to approve their proposals in the shortest possible time? And what measures do you have in place to support them with other institutions in and out of government in Guyana?
Our office is mandated by law to facilitate both foreign and local investment. We have processed a large European company recently from Italy that is supporting the oil and gas industry. They put a new industry that we have not had in Guyana. We processed that application. There are incentives, and each incentive is geared towards that sector. So as long as it fits within the sectorial incentives, there's, again, no discrimination between a foreign investor and a local investor. We push for local content to join in with FDI to make sure we have a more capable solution in our country. But the process is not lengthy. The key part are just basic components. And on our website, goinvest.gov.gy, explain the expression of interest, what is required, the business plan, what sector it fits in, what incentives a company is looking for. And as you study what we have described and the president described, in the agriculture sector and the tourism sector, there are significant incentives for large-scale plantation farming, for large hotel and ecotourism. So, and we're pushing out to the outlying areas in our country. In the other regions, there are even more incentives for setting up eco-lodges and other businesses outside of the main capital region.
Okay, thank you so much. I think you've been quite clear, Dr. Ramsaroop. And Mr. NOKTA, I mean, you gave quite an articulate presentation in terms of public-private partnerships and working closely with government and other stakeholders. You also cited the issue of local content, and that is associated with technology transfer. I mean, are there any special incentives being offered, Mr. NOKTA, to companies that can lend technology and you can have technology transfer within Guyana? What are the incentives? What is the position? And what would you say to people who can come to Guyana with technology? And what are your views in terms of transferring that to Guyanese and in the context of local content?
Thank you, deodat. You're absolutely right. And in fact, right now, Guyana is currently reviewing the local content policy. And one of the areas is technology and technology transfer. We recognize that this is critical as we look to build capacity in country. Over the years, we have improved our capacity in many of the traditional sectors, but as we embrace new and emerging sectors, we will need to have access to technology. We'll need to train our people so that we can be able to take on more and more of the work scopes in country. So as we roll out the local content framework from policy to legislation to build up the various institutions, training and otherwise to help deliver local content, the issue of technology and technology transfer is going to be one of the critical components.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. NOKTA. I think in summary, we have had an exceptional panel with Dr. Ganga providing an overview from the macroeconomic perspective, assuring investors that in terms of the foreign exchange situation, I mean, Guyana is in a very strong position in terms of inflation and managing inflation. Again, very clear measures are already in place to manage inflation effectively. I think Dr. Ramsaroop was also, I mean, quite articulate in indicating quite clearly that Guyana is indeed open for business, and GoInvest is fully able and willing and prepared to support investors. So I would encourage people who are listening to contact Dr. Ramsaroop and GoInvest on matters of interest. And Mr. NOKTA was very, very clear in terms of emphasizing the strong relationship between government and the private sector and what he sees as a critical partnership going forward as being essential to generating jobs and growth and prosperity for Guyana and for Guyanese. So I think all that is left for me to do is to thank all the organizers, all the colleagues who have worked very hard, including my colleagues, in making this possible, and to thank this wonderful panel, GOBIND Ganga, Dr. Ramsaroop, and SHYAM NOKTA. Thank you so very much. And Joellen, I pass on the floor or proceeding to you for your leadership and guidance. Thank you so much again, Dr. Ganga, Dr. Ramsaroop, and SHYAM.
Thank you very much, deodat, much appreciated. And as we're doing really well in terms of timing, actually, which is fantastic. How often does that happen? So, as we've seen, we've heard a lot about the business climate in Guyana, and hopefully that is giving you a great insight into the landscape as it relates to Guyana and from an economic point of view, and what to expect as it relates to doing business there. So now we are at the stage where we're going to go into a little bit more focus into the sectors. And we have our breakout rooms that are set up for you to select the areas that you want to hear more about in terms of those sectors. So we have a breakout room for hotel and resort development. We have one for mining, oil and gas. We also have a room for agriculture and forestry and logistics and infrastructure.